Hello and welcome to Introduction to Commercial Real Estate Sales, how to double your annual income by closing your first commercial deal. To start with, my disclaimer, I'm going to make you no promises, results are not typical, and we guarantee nothing. The bottom line is you're going to get out of this probably what you put into it. And hopefully those of you that have taken the time to join us on today's webinar are going to get a lot out of it. I guarantee you're all going to get something at the end of this. Adding commercial real estate sales to your book of current business is vital. You can significantly increase your income with one commercial real estate transaction per year. I want to share some stats with you. Now, stats, I know you're probably going to get a little bit bored with that because everyone throws stats at you because you always never know where they come from, where did they get them, did they stack the deck? These actually, in the last 2 or 3 years, these came directly from the website of the National Association of Realtors. This is based on what they've tracked. And when they tracked it, what they found was the median income for residential realtors, and what they defined as residential realtors was residential only practitioners throughout the entire country. So this is an average of what those people were earning per year on average across the country that were residential only practitioners. When they added in a component, those residential agents that do and close at least one commercial transaction a year, what their average income was. And do you know it went up almost 2.5 times to $92,800 per year. That's an incredible statistic that I hope really resonates and hits home with all of you. Now, I'm going to take the Sacramento Metropolitan Statistical Area, that's MSA, that is a term that you need to learn in commercial real estate. And I'm going to compare that particular market. Now, you're going to find this true across the board because there's a lot more residential practitioners in the United States than there are commercial-only practitioners. Let me share with you what I mean. This statistic also came from, I believe, the California Association of Realtors site. But at the time we did this, and this was probably in the last 2 or 3 years, there was about 3,000 residential agents practicing in the Sacramento MSA. About 3,000 residential-only agents. The commercial counterpart was only 64. So the real question is do you want to be a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond? What do you want to do? I want to introduce myself a little bit to you. My name is Steve Harper. I've been practicing real estate for almost 20 years now. I'm coming up on my 20th year in 2019. Started as a residential guy. Moved very quickly. Within the first year, I moved into commercial. I found a passion and a love for commercial, and I was not welcomed with open arms. It was a struggle. I have since that time brokered, purchased, sold, and consulted on over $2 billion in commercial and multifamily properties. I'm formerly the managing director at KW Commercial in Roseville, California. It's one of KW's largest in the entire Keller Williams franchise, one of the largest locations. I'm a former radio talk show host for about a year and a half. I did a real estate program on the Wall Street Business Network out of Sacramento, and I still today am a guest host on a couple of different radio talk shows around the area. What I want to talk to you about is what I want to do with you today and what I'm not going to do with you today. What I'm not going to do with you today is spend a whole bunch of time teaching you commercial verbiage, teaching you what a cap rate is. I'm not going to go into that. I'm not even going to tell you how to read a P&L. Hopefully you know how to do all of that, and if you don't, you know what, there's going to be some things that you can do to learn it, and I'm going to offer to bribe you to teach you everything you need to know. I'm going to offer to give it away to you. What I am going to teach you today is how to find some leads right now, today. When you leave this webinar, you're going to know how to find some leads. I'm going to talk to you about negotiating that first commercial deal, how to get it in contract. I'm going to teach you how to navigate the due diligence and some of the obstacles that are going to be thrown up in your face. And if you haven't seen it before, and again, I think most of you probably have tried to do a commercial deal or two, you know what obstacles that I'm talking about. Bottom line is every deal's different, so I don't know what obstacles you're going to come across. And we're going to help you to get this first thing going in training, but I'm not going to teach you any of the background. I am going to give you a shameless and blatant bribe at the end of this webinar today about giving you a complete training package that we're currently selling for $997. I'm going to offer to give it to you for free with a little string or two attached, a minor string. I don't know that you'll consider it major. We'll see what you think at the end of this webinar. If you're like me, and this is probably what pulled me from residential to commercial, people started coming up to me within my first few months in real estate and talking to me about commercial deals. And when I first did it, I had no idea what I was doing. I was lucky to be surrounded by a couple of mentors. If it wasn't for the mentors I have, or I had and have, I would not be in commercial real estate today. I probably would have given up, and I probably would have spent the last 20 years doing residential only real estate, and I might be just as happy doing it. I'm not saying one is better than the other. But because I had some good mentors, I had resources. I had people that helped me without expectation. It was pretty amazing. So I was lucky. If you guys give out a couple of those, I would definitely latch on to those if you've got them. If not, we got some other stuff for you. But however long you've been in this business, someone has or will come up to you and they're going to talk to you about a deal. Maybe it's a deal like this Denny's, and they're going to say to you, hey, I really want to buy this Denny's. I heard it was for sale down here for about $1.8 million. Can you find out, for me if it's available, and can you represent me? Can you help me buy it? And like, many of us, you probably looked at it and said, gosh, where do I start? You may have submitted an offer, and if you did submit an offer for this particular Denny's or something like it, it probably wasn't a letter of intent, an LOI. And I will tell you, the commercial world, they're used to seeing an LOI to start this thing out because they don't waste a whole bunch of time writing contracts, especially when there are so many different contract forms. That's another thing that it's gonna be very different than residential real estate. It's not a standardized contract, not even in specific areas. It's not a standardized contract. So you need to learn LOI. So you may have submitted an offer. Probably you didn't submit an LOI. The offer was probably rejected. Maybe the agent stole it from you. Maybe they promised to pay you a referral fee and they didn't. I don't know what happened, but you're on this webinar for a reason. So I'd be willing to guess that a lot of the things I'm suggesting right now have happened. So bottom line is, you probably didn't get it closed. What I want to do with you today is tell you several obstacles that you can avoid and actually get a deal closed. Now, you're going to need some base education and training, and there's a lot of different places you can get that. Most agents that I speak to have absolutely experienced something when they're residential agents trying to break into or dabble with or move into commercial real estate. My business partner that today ended up, his first commercial deal was a whole bunch of homes. I can't remember, 30 to 50 residential homes. I don't remember the details on it. But that guy ended up getting less than $10,000 in commission to sell, 30 to 50 homes in California. And he did it because residential and commercial work differently. His eyes were not opened, and it was a surprise to him. He was planning on earning a big fat commission check, like one of the kinds of commission checks that is what most people earn in a year. And instead, he got a few pennies because the commercial agent knew exactly what they were doing on the other side of that transaction, and they patted him on the head, gave him a little check, and he was probably lucky to get that. That was his cost into commercial real estate. I'd like to save you from paying that same fee. There are about 3 things that you need to do and do commercial real estate well. Number 1, you need training. If you don't have training, you're not going to be able to do it. And again, the purpose of this webinar is not to train you. I am not going to teach you about cash on cash return today or any of the commercial specific details that you're going to need to know. But there's a lot of ways to learn them. You could Google, if you wanted, what's a cap rate, and you'll learn it. You could Google what's a cash on cash return, and you'll learn it. You can Google a lot of different things, and you can get some training that way. You can find a mentor, or you can find a training program that's been set up for commercial real estate. The second thing that you're going to need is support. You have to have some support because no 2 deals are the same. There is no simple magic bullet that's going to teach you everything you need to know in one tidy package. The bottom line is you're going to get base training to go into commercial real estate, and then you're going to have questions and things are going to come up as you go, depending upon what area of commercial real estate you move down. And then you're going to really get some additional training and experience that comes with that support. And that leads me to the third thing. The third thing that you have to have is practice. You've got to practice your trade. Practice makes you better. I've been doing this now for almost 20 years. I don't believe any two deals I've ever done have looked the same. And I've done a whole bunch of Burger Kings, Taco Bells, net lease investments, all with 20-year leases. And do you know what? Not one of those two deals went exactly the same and worked exactly the same. And I know all of you are shaking your head up and down right now because the same is absolutely true in residential real estate. So the three things you need, again, training, support, and practice. Now, I do want to save some of you some time. There are some of you that are sitting in on this webinar. Maybe you shouldn't be here right now because maybe you believe that there's a magic bullet. Maybe you believe that you can do this. Maybe you at home right now are a residential agent that just kind of takes things as it comes. You're a little bit disorganized. And I got to say, you really should go back and fix that before you try and tackle commercial real estate, because the disorganized agent is going to get chewed up and spit out in commercial real estate, and it will cost you money. And again, it's not harder, it's just different. But you cannot be disorganized going into this. If you're looking for that magic bullet I mentioned before, it doesn't exist. Maybe it does, but I've never found it. I mean, for 20 years, I've been looking for the magic bullet, and there isn't a magic bullet. Not that I found thus far. As soon as I find one, I'll let you know, but I don't believe that it exists. And the other thing is if you're an agent that's not willing to put in the work, you know what? This isn't just going to happen for you. If you are an agent who's extremely focused, you're willing to work, and there's hard on the screen in front of you, but I don't necessarily believe in that. You have two choices. You can work really, really hard, or you can work really, really smart. You can work really, really hard for a while and then learn to be smart. There's a lot of different ways you can break this down, but if you are willing to work hard and or smart, you're going to do well in commercial real estate. Those of you that turn that hard work into smart work sooner, you're going to do a lot better. And the biggest thing, which I applaud all of you, thank all of you, I appreciate all of you. You took the first big step today. You got out of your comfort zone and you attended today's webinar. So by doing that, I applaud all of you for that. Okay, so again, number one, the first thing we need is training. How do commercial real estate properties work, and how are they analyzed? So again, no boring terminology. I'm not going to teach you any math. I'm going to show you how to find, negotiate, and close your first commercial deal. Now, watch your email after this webinar. Possibly something's going to pop up. I don't know, but I do have a few things for you. Again, you can have all this. This is even part of my shameless bribe. I've got a 5-part video series on commercial real estate training. It will talk to you about what a cap rate is. It will talk to you about a gross rent multiplier, cash on cash return, the basics of a 1031 exchange, and probably the top 7 mistakes that are made by agents, specifically residential agents, when they're trying to sell or negotiate a commercial deal. And it's a little ebook. So all that's for you. It's going to come to you at the end of this webinar via email, or possibly there's a pop-up. I'm not sure what we're doing. I'm not very technical that way. More training. Okay, so this is part of the shameless bribe that we're talking about. I do have what I talked about or alluded to earlier. Currently, we're selling it for about $997. We've got a 50-hour comprehensive online video training course, and it's basically the entire thing is designed for a practicing residential agent that's wanting to move into commercial. So at the end of this webinar, we'll show you how to get access to that. In the meantime, let's talk about what we can do right now, and that is finding commercial real estate clients, negotiating your first deal, and closing on your first commercial deal. So there's 3 things that I want to talk to you about. You have everything you need right now to find your first commercial real estate deal. You do. If you've been in this business for a year or longer, and even less, some of you, because you've been alive, you've got the ability to find the clients right now. The first place is in your phone. I would argue there's at least $1 million worth of commissions in your phone right now. And again, maybe you don't use the phone like you should. If so, then shame on you. But you do. It's your sphere of influence. All you have to do is start discussing it, letting the people know. Go through that phone, go through your contact list, and find the people that are already in your sphere of influence. Because the people that you've been selling these houses to or listing the houses for, they are managers at their corporations. They are business owners. These are people who are leasing real estate, buying real estate. They're already there. Then another real huge place for you is in your office. Most of you that are in a real estate office, you know that you've got a lot of residential agents in that office. If you simply said, you know what, I'm doing apartments now. You don't even have to say I'm doing all of commercial real estate. Pick the area you want to get started in and get started doing it. The first thing you have to do is start by saying, hey, I'm moving down the road for commercial real estate. If any of you have any commercial needs, I pay great referral fees. Let me know. That's the next place where you're going to find a lot of business right now. And the third place is what we call the golden referral strategy. This is a strategy that we've used in my office. We've used it for several years. And it works something like this. Basically, I put LinkedIn in there, but it'll work for any social media, whatever the case may be. LinkedIn works real well for what I'm going to suggest. So here's how it works. Let's say I go in and I realize in my sphere of influence from my phone, my farmer's real estate agent. I set an appointment to go in and see my farmer's real estate agent, have a cup of coffee with him, maybe meet him at a Starbucks, maybe meet him at his office or at mine. And I'll sit down with my farmer's agent and I'll say, let me ask you a question. Dave, what is it that I need to do? How can I help you expand your business? The purpose of my visit with you today is to find out how I can help get you more business. And then I'll go through and he'll say, great, if you know anybody looking for insurance, I'll say, no, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go into my LinkedIn profile. I want you to look at all of my connections, and I want you to pick 10 or 15 of those people that you'd like an introduction to. Maybe they're the type of client that you're looking for in your business. You let me know that. What I'm going to do in return is I'm going to send you and the person that you said a personal email suggesting that the two of you meet, that you have some benefit that you can offer each other. Now, just by the act of me doing that is what is the entire strategy, because at no point in the meeting do I ask for business. At no point in the meeting do I ask for referrals. Number one, it may come up because Dave might look at me and say, Steve, what can I do to help you with your business? Well, gosh, I'm glad you asked. And maybe we'll go through the same process. But even if it doesn't come up, make the entire, unless it's brought up by the other party, make the entire meeting about helping them, the person that you've asked to see, with their business. And inevitably, within a week or two, if you will do this regularly, once a week, twice a week, whatever the case may be, depending on how zealous, I suppose, you want to get with it, what's going to happen is your phone's going to start ringing. And they're going to start giving you referrals, because it's the law of reciprocity. That's what we're talking about, is the law of reciprocity. And it works very well. These 3 things will get you all of the commercial business that you need. It absolutely will. But again, you have to put the effort out. You can't just wait for it to happen. You have to go through your phone. You have to set the golden referral meetings. You have to attend your weekly office meetings. You have to go to the association meetings, whatever association you belong to, and let them know that you're dealing in commercial real estate now, or in apartments only, or in retail only, or whatever the case may be. But either way, you have to get out there and you have to put it out there, because the universe isn't going to give anything to you that you don't ask for. I'll tell you something else that we've done. This is an actual example. And we use this as a marketing piece. This isn't the entire thing, but this is an actual example that we use from our office, and this is a real deal. We actually did this with a client. The client owned those 5 residential properties that you can see, and what those consisted of was a 4-plex, 2 duplexes, and 2 single-family homes. And a lot of these were in really, really rough shape. As a matter of fact, the person that bought the 2 residential homes was an agent and a house flipper that I know that came in, paid cash, and flipped those 2 properties because they were in such bad condition. And the bottom line is, on this particular example, this family had inherited this, and there was five siblings splitting the income from this particular portfolio of properties. We were able to take that portfolio of properties, we were able to sell them for $2.26 million. By the way, the cash flow that was coming out of this deal was about $80,000 a year cash flow, and that's what was projected. To be honest with you, the number was less than that than they were actually getting because of the sheer amount of deferred maintenance on these properties. It was probably closer to half that they were really getting. But it penciled out that they should have been getting, before all the deferred maintenance, about $80,000 a year. They were able to roll that into a 20-year triple net lease Burger King and I can't remember if it was a 10 or a 15-year Dollar Gen Corporation, nicely placed Dollar General. And they were able to cash flow again out of that their actual spendable income taxable return that they were getting went from a scheduled 80 closer to a 40 or 50 that they were actually getting, up to $131,612 in the first year. Now there are some built-in increases in there that happened in these 2 replacement properties that they did. But my point with this is the story's excellent. But if you don't know how to do commercial real estate, first of all, you can't do this. So you got to find someone to do it. And then you got to try and coordinate it to make it happen. So you need to do commercial real estate. Secondly, what a great opportunity. You should steal my idea on this. You should be implementing this very same thing in your marketplace. What if you are looking at the people who own all of these homes and rental properties that are non-owner occupied? You market them and you talk about doing this kind of very same thing in your marketplace. This is gold. What I've just given you is gold. I guarantee you can build a business with this marketing piece right here. So I don't want to hear any of you say you didn't get anything from this. So hopefully, because I know this works. We do this in our marketplace, and it'll be for complete transparency. My team and I are still doing this in our marketplace. All right, so the next thing, finding, negotiating your first commercial deal, closing it. So you got to know where to find it, because probably most people that do come up to you, they're not going to tell you the property that they want to buy. They might say, you know what, my uncle has been buying these Burger King deals. Does he own the Burger King? Is he just the landlord? What's going on with it? Can you find me one like that to look at? Well, if you don't know where to look, well, you're going to have a problem right off the gate. Now, the beautiful part is, I guess Google exists today, so you can find a lot of stuff through Google. But CoStar, LoopNet, Property Line, Xceligent, there are commercial-only sites that you can go on and belong to find some of these commercial deals. And as you get into this industry, you'll start in these places, and then you'll start developing relationships with the brokers in your area or even throughout the country, depending upon how far you want to take this, that work in it, and you're going to find other places to find them. But trust me, CoStar and LoopNet and Property Line, those 3 alone are going to show you enough that you can get started. You can find properties and get going on this. And the second thing is you need to know how to negotiate it, because if you drop the ball here, if you fill out one of your local boards, CAR, or if you're in Alabama, or if you're in Texas, the Texas form, if you start with a residential commercial form, and I'm putting that in air quotes, then a lot of the commercial agents that have listed these properties are not going to deal with you. And I'm sorry to say that, but it's a fact. These people are used to people who know how to do a commercial transaction. And their fear, which is founded, is that if they're dealing with a residential dabbler, then they're going to waste their time and their client's time, and they're going to tie up a property in an escrow that has no chance of succeeding. And they want to bypass those landmines. They're going to kind of filter you out. If you start with a letter of intent, if you know the terminology and you put it in that letter of intent, by the way, that little ebook that I've already given to all of you, Top 7 Mistakes that are made by agents, it talks about some of the language you're going to use. So this way you don't step on those landmines. You don't alert that agent, that commercial listing agent on the other side, that you alert them that you know what you're doing by how you act, rather than letting them know that you don't know what you're doing. So I want to make sure you know what you're doing. So you start with a letter of intent, and you always negotiate your commission. Your commission has to be put in this document. You are not protected from the commercial practitioners at large in this country and in this world. They're not going to protect you. They're not going to look out for you, and you don't have the same protections that you have as being a realtor. Those of you that are realtors know you live under this blanket of protection that we're all gonna treat each other right. We're gonna disclose what the commission's gonna be, and you're gonna get it at the end of the transaction. What if the guy selling this property isn't a realtor? And I will tell you, most of the commercial practitioners aren't. It's not structured for them yet. They're working on it. They are absolutely working on it. So you need to get a commercial agreement, and then you need to know how to negotiate a contract. You need to know when to advise your client to have it reviewed by an attorney. These are all things. They're in the top 7 mistakes, but these are all things that you can learn as well as you go. You got to get training on that stuff. But you can do it if you understand that you have to start with a letter of intent. You have to negotiate your commission, and be prepared, especially if it's a contract you don't recognize, to advise your client to have it reviewed by an attorney. Because chances are the seller's attorney on that property that you called on prepared that contract. And that is a time that you need to recommend having it reviewed by an attorney. That's just a cost of doing business. Closing your first commercial deal. Now this is a nice snapshot of what needs to get done. You start when you're representing a buyer that buys one of these properties. Maybe this Burger King that we talked about a few minutes ago. Maybe it's an industrial property. Maybe it's an apartment complex. First thing you're going to do, and you're going to have your client and their financial and tax advisors, whoever's involved, you're going to have those people do it. You're going to have them, and you're going to review the free stuff first: the P&L, the rent roll, the preliminary title report, tax records, possibly the guarantor, whoever the guarantor is on the lease. You're going to want to do some research on them. So that's the stuff that you want to do first before you start getting into the things in commercial real estate that cost a heck of a lot more in commercial than they do in residential. I'll use appraisal as the first example. You're not going to get a $400, $500, $300, $600 appraisal on a commercial deal. It's going to be in the thousands. That's just another cost of doing business. So clearly, you want to make sure that you do all of the free stuff first, and you want to make sure that your contract and your letter of intent allows you the time to do the free stuff, then start spending your client's money on the costly stuff, and that's assuming they've given a yes on all the free stuff. And then you want to move them through that and into discovery and closing. So you've got you might have last minute negotiations. You might need to prep the client for a close of escrow, prepare the close. You're going to want to talk to the different coordinators that are going to be involved in this, possibly the 1031 exchange company, as well as the title company. There are some states out there, and some of you that might know this, there are attorney states, there are mortgage states, there are trust deed states. You'll know that kind of stuff. But for those of you, and there's probably a few of you that might be thinking, you know what, I want to do what Steve does. I want to move into this thing on a retail, on a national basis. If that is the case, if you guys want to hit that level, then you will absolutely need to learn the differences in all the different states. That's something else that will come to your training. But this is an excellent start to get you to at least know what you need to Google or what you need to ask your broker's legal rep about as you're negotiating your first deal. This is a very nice blueprint to kind of get you started. Now, again, this is my gift. It's not right. It says gift on here. I have to fix that. It's not a gift. It's a bribe. This is my bribe to you. My bribe is that 50-hour commercial real estate training program that we talked about. First, I want to tell you what's in that commercial real estate training program. First of all, it's online. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's fully interactive. You can do it in your underwear. You can do it wherever you want to do it. And I want to give this to you. I don't want to charge anything for it. Right now, I'm charging $9.97 to buy this thing outright online. And for those of you who just want to go buy it from me, by all means, go ahead and buy it from me. I don't have an issue with that. But for the rest of you who want to be bribed by this a little bit, pay attention. I'll tell you what's in it, then I'm going to talk about the bribing. What's in it? We have a course that consists, it's a five-part series, I guess. It starts with an introduction to commercial real estate, a lot of the base stuff that you need to get started. It moves into the multifamily and apartments, so it goes into that sector. It goes into the retail, then it goes into the office. And then we finish. The fifth and final course is it's called Commercial Real Estate Marketing 101. The golden referral that I talked about came from that. Some of the other maybe methods I've talked about today come from that. That's more than a 101 marketing course. That marketing course standalone is fantastic. And it will go through the different ways to market and deal with your commercial real estate depending upon what area you want to go into for that. So basically our goal when we built this was to cover the bulk of commercial real estate in a nice introduction so you have a good foundation in the bulk of all the different types of commercial real estate that are out there. And then we wanted to give you a mechanism to actually implement and get that, start practicing, which is what the marketing does, because it actually takes you through and gets you started. And that's, I think, the most important part. And again, it says gift. Let's fix that. It's not a gift. It's a bribe. Honestly, this training program has been audited by some very smart people. We put a lot into it. It's the culmination of many years of experience by many people that have contributed to this. And I believe it's going to, I wish something like this had been available to me 20 years ago. Had something like this been available to me 20 years ago, I would have, well, I certainly would have more money in my pocket because I paid my dues several times. I learned that first lesson about commission, I think 2 different times in my life, and they were 5-figure mistakes that they cost me. So, again, the gift. The bribe. I'll give you the training. I'll give you all of the training. All I ask you to do is sign up for what you need. Remember, we said you need 3 things to succeed in commercial real estate. You needed training, you needed support, and you needed practice. So I've talked to you about the training that I want to give you. The support, I've got a program for $97 a month. And by the way, you could sign up for 1 month. We had one guy actually go through all 50 hours in like 2.5 weeks. That's the fastest anyone's ever done it. You could go get on, you could just power through this thing. You could pay for 1 month. You could take the $1,000 gift. You could then cancel the support because you're too cheap to spend the $97 a month on everything that this gives you, which is support. But you could typically, if you wanted to, just sign up for the 1 month, get all the training, and go on about your business. I don't suggest it. I think that once you get into it, you're going to find that you like it. That's the way we've set it up. That's the way we've designed the price point. We believe you're going to want to hang around for a long time. There is no minimum commitment. It's month to month. You can quit anytime you want. You've got access to everything from day one. Our Inner Circle support, it's a library of additional classes. We show lots of different things. We have exclusive access to monthly industry leader interviews. So we'll talk with some of the top guys in different fields, in apartments, in retail, 1031 exchange. We've got a private Facebook support group and regular live and archived office hours. So this is the office hours. This alone is worth office hours. If you attend the live office hours, what you'll be able to do is actually ask questions about your ongoing deals that you're dealing with so that you have support. You have a level of support ready to help you succeed in commercial real estate. Now, at this point, I think there's something popping up that allows you to do this. We'll email you. Thank you very much for taking the time to attend today's webinar. Thank you for allowing me to both educate, bribe, and hopefully not overwhelm you. Thank you very much. All of your questions are appreciated, and let me know if I can help you in any other way.